Hi, my name is Nora and I have cyclical Cushing's disease. If you aren't caught up on my other videos, it kind of explains a little more about that. Today we're going to be talking about how to test for Cushing's disease, but specifically cyclical Cushing's disease, which is really hard to get diagnosed with. I do want to say off the bat that I am not a medical expert. I'm talking from my own experience. If you need expert medical advice, please see a doctor. So to test for Cushing's disease, you do the same things that I'm going to talk about here. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk a little bit about high and low symptoms for cyclical Cushing's. So for cyclical Cushing's, you need to be testing when you're high. So the times to test are when you're feeling really good, when you can't sleep at night. Physical symptoms are so important. When your buffalo hump is larger, when your striae are a dark purple, those are the times that you need to be testing. Every single time that I have gotten high, it's because my striae are very, very dark. And my best advice that I ever got was every single time that you do a test, take pictures of what you did. Because if that test comes back high, you can copy that same thing again so that you're not trying to guess what's going on and how you're going to get all these highs. Because if you want to be diagnosed with cyclical Cushing's disease, you need to get 4 highs minimum. Usually it's 5 to 6, and it's really hard to do. So it's really important that you're documenting everything and paying really close attention to your highs. Low symptoms. Do not test at this time. When you cannot see your striae, when they're a light pink or they're pale, don't do it. When your buffalo hump is totally flat or very small, do not test. When you're feeling depressed, do not test. When you're feeling anxious, do test. When you are sleeping all day, you're so exhausted, you feel like you can't even get out of bed, you can't do anything, do not test. When your body hurts, do not test. These are all the things that I've learned testing for cyclical Cushing's disease. However, it is different for everybody. The most important thing that you can do for yourself is every single time that you test, you need to take pictures of your striae, your buffalo hump, your moon face, how you're feeling, and you need to see this is when I got a high, this is when I got a low. You need to be really, really careful. I cannot stress that enough. One more high symptom I will say is acne. Acne is a huge sign of high cortisol. So there are 3 tests for cyclical Cushing's disease. One is plasma. In order to get plasma done, you have to do it in a lab. Usually they test you at 8 a.m. or they do it at 11 p.m. Another thing with plasma, which for those of you who don't know is a blood test. Another thing with plasma is something called a DEX suppression test. So they give you a little pill, and then they test you at 8 a.m. the next day and kind of see if it was able to suppress your cortisol or not. A lot of times when that doesn't come back, it comes back suppressed, and you didn't still have high cortisol, they're like, you don't have Cushing's disease. Let me tell you something. I took that test. It came back low, like it was supposed to. I have Cushing's disease. So that's why you need to follow these things. So the first thing that you're going to get, it's called a saliva test. And so it looks like this. I'm not going to do it because I actually need to do this. So I'm just going to show it to you. It looks like this. It comes in a tube. You take it out. And you do not touch it with your fingers. You put it in your mouth. You keep it in your mouth for 15 minutes. I don't care if your sheet says 2 minutes. I don't care if your sheet says 5 minutes. You put it in your mouth for 15 minutes. You can chew it. You can leave it in there. Put it in your tongue. Whatever. 15 minutes. Less than that, it's crap. It's not going to work. Never take these throughout the day. There's a test where they have you do it at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever. It's unhelpful. The only time you want to take this is between 11 p.m. and 12:15. There's no other time to take it. If your doctor says to take it other times, they're wrong. Trust me, I saw 9 endocrinologists before I found the one who was right for me. You need to test at 11 p.m., 12:15 with these. Any other type of test is a waste of time. 4 of these throughout the day, it's a waste of your time. And I'm telling you, insurances, they're not going to keep letting you do these tests. 11 p.m. to 12:15. You're going to need to label them properly. So you need to write your name, your date of birth, you need to write your collection time, and it should always be between 11 p.m. and 12:15. And then you need to put it on here. You need to freeze this because you're bringing all 4 samples in at once. You get 4 to 6 of these at a time. Put it in your freezer. Put it in the bag. They're going to give you a special bag to put it in. Freeze it. It's the best way to go. The best way to know about these is to do 1 a week. You should get 4, do 1 do 1 a week. Don't do it on the same day. Do it when you're experiencing these symptoms, but do 1 a week because you might be wrong. You might think that you know when you're on a high and you might not be right. So it's a really, really fantastic way to be able to kind of help you get those highs that you need to get diagnosed. The other one that's so unfun is a 24-hour urine exam. Everybody with Cushing's knows about these. We all hate them. They're the worst. You get something like this. There's a couple different ones. So you can hear that there's something inside of this one. That's a little tablet. If you don't have that tablet in here, your test is a waste. If you have cyclical Cushing's disease, you need to be testing your 17-OH. because sometimes that's high when your cortisol isn't high, and that's a sign of cyclical Cushing's disease. If they're not also testing for 17-OH, don't do it. It's not worth your time. So for this, you pee in the toilet regularly at 8 a.m., and then you put the rest of your pee throughout the day in here until 8 a.m. the next morning. The first pee of the next morning goes in here, and then you go to drop it off. I would advise investing in some red Solo cups, because it's real hard to pee directly in here. I've tried it. It's not fun. Pee into a red Solo cup, pour it in here, keep it in your fridge, refrigerate it or get a cooler. If you have roommates, you're uncomfortable, buy a cooler. You cannot leave this out. It can ruin the specimen. Then afterwards, you need to get it to a LabCorp or a Quest immediately within 2 hours, or else it can go to waste because they need to freeze it. So these are like really hard. They're intense. They're all day. If you work, might be better take a day off. If not, you need to get a cooler and keep it under your desk. It's difficult. I know that. It's not fun. I know that. You need to find an endocrinologist who will give you 4 of these. Again, you need to do it once a week. You can do it on Saturdays, but know that most LabCorps are closed on Sundays. I would recommend doing it on a Sunday and dropping it off Monday morning if you're looking to do it over the weekend. The other thing that I'm going to tell you when it comes to cyclical Cushing's disease is to do with MRIs, because that's the last piece of the puzzle. So if it's an adrenal one, you can do an ultrasound, you can do a CAT scan, you can do an MRI. All should be good. It's pretty clear. If you are getting a pituitary MRI and it is anything other than a 3T MRI, don't do it. It's not worth your time. You're not going to see your tumor. My tumor that didn't exist in my first MRI was found on my second MRI, and insurance didn't approve it for 8 months. Do not waste your time. Get a 3T MRI or bust. Don't go through with it unless it's a 3T MRI of your pituitary gland. Please do not make the same mistakes that I did. It delayed me being able to get surgery for 8 months, and it's an awful disease. Don't do it. That's my advice. Please comment if you have any questions, and to find out more about products that can help you while you're dealing with Cushing's disease, subscribe below. Thanks.